Hello, welcome back to Movie Geek channel and happy Halloween to you all. Today's video I'll be showing my top 10 favorite horror films of all time. These are the films I've always rewatched every October as part of my tradition. These are the films that involves anything that feels spooky, makes me shivers my spine, and always watch in the dark. Usually Halloween is never my thing. I never liked trick-or-treating, I never liked dressing up, but the one thing I love about Halloween or the month of October is watching some scary, spooky, frightening films. So enjoy, and here are my top 10 favorite horror films of all time. And of course, this is my opinion. Enjoy. Here are some honorable mentions that did not make it to the cut of my top 10, but it is a well recommend. The honorable mentions are the Evil Dead trilogy, also the remake, Misery, Night of the Hunter, Rosemary Baby, The Strangers, Drag Me to Hell, Halloween 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and 2018, Silent House, Cabin in the Woods, and of course, Freddy vs. Jason, my guilty pleasure. That's all the honorable mentions. Now we go on to number 10. I always watch when I'm in the mood of something crazy and bonkers and over the top and creative and imaginative, but at the same time insane. That is a film called House. House is a film that you got experience watching for the very first time. Something very different and unique. Something not very out there. That is different from all the horror films that I've seen. Yes, it can be laughably bad, but there are some crazy things going on in House. A film about a group of students, girls, go visit to a house. I believe it's a summer vacation. I don't remember. It's been a while, but crazy things goes on, and this is the film that you have to see for yourself and experience it for the very first time, just like I did years ago. And I showed some friends, and they loved it as much as I do. It was released by Criterion Collection on Blu-ray, and it's a must-get for every Criterion Collection. It's not complete without House. Number 9. Poltergeist, directed by Tobe Hooper and also co-written by Steven Spielberg. I love this movie. I really do. It's one of my new favorites as I saw this movie for the very first time a couple years ago when I bought a Blu-ray for the very first time. Going in seeing this movie, I was entertained. Same time, glued to the screen entirety. No pun intended when that little girl was glued to the screen. The third act. All I can say the third act of the film is just entertaining and crazy and just skyrocketed. This is a film about the house has been haunted, and just it's a great film. It is a great flick. Some people think that Steven Spielberg directed half of the film, but this is still a Tobe Hooper film. But who knows what's going on in the behind the scenes. But all I can say is that the film is incredible. Great characters, great dialogue, great suspense, and edge of your seat moments, and some spookiness in there. And the third act of the film is worth every penny when you see this movie for the very first time. That is Poltergeist for number 9. Number 8. This is a film that freaked me out as a kid when I saw it in theaters. Until the opening scene of this movie, the title scene of this movie, traumatized me and have trouble sleeping as well. This is a little stop motion animated film that is families. But is it for families? Is it for kids? Well, it's Coraline. Coraline is a film that I got appreciated when I grew up even more. As a kid, I hated the movie because it freaked me out because of the whole parallel universe that involved with the evil mother that want to turn Coraline to get a button for her eyes. Let's sink that in your brain. It traumatized me when I was a kid watching this movie. When you see the evil mother reveals who she really is. This is a film I rewatch every year and just love it even more growing up. Now I'm not scared of that movie anymore, but I do love that movie. Coraline is a masterpiece. One of the best Leica films that they ever done. Next to Kubo the Two Strings, but Coraline is still remain my number 1 favorite kids Halloween films, even though it's not for younger audiences. But I was one of the audience demographics that I saw this movie in theaters back when. I just love the style, the scenery, the imagery, the stop motion. Everything about the Coraline is creative and dark, and something that is very eye candy. Yet, there's some pretty dark stuff in there for kids. That opening titles, I will never forget when that music, that eerie music starts. I was not in it. I was not having it. I keep telling my mom and my dad I want to go home because this is not the film for me when I was young. Well, now I own a Blu-ray happily, and I love this movie very much. It's one of my most rewatchable films that I always look forward to seeing again every October. Coraline is my number 8. Number 7. This is the recent one. I saw this summer, and I loved it. And I'm rewatching it again, and I even love it even more. That is Night of the Creeps. This is a great 80s flick. Wonderful. Tons of fun. The opening got me hooked. It's great characters. Tom Atkins. All I can say is Tom Atkins. He's great in this movie. All I can say, I highly recommend seeing Night of Creeps. This is something I do not want to go dive into because I want you guys to experience the film for the very first time. It's available right now on the Scream Factory Blu-ray release. A wonderful Blu-ray release. The highlight of this movie is Tom Atkins. What can I say about the man has already been said. He's amazing. Night of the Creeps is my number 7. Number 6. I consider this film a hidden gem, underrated film, a film that not a lot of people talks about. That is Orphan. Orphan is about a little girl who wants to be loved, but there's more to it. There's something goes on and suspicious about this little girl. Well, crazy things goes on, and this is a fun ride. This is a film that deals with heavy things, heavy topics, about a wife who just had a miscarriage, and it sucks for her, and want to have another kid. But little to know that this kid, this orphan, this little girl, is something completely different. This is a great fun ride that I really enjoy. I was rooting for the characters, the main character, not the orphan little girl. She's just messed up. If you know what I mean when you saw the movie. Orphan is just a hidden gem that keep telling people to watch it for the very first time. I love this movie. I really do. I remember watching this movie for the very first time on the television, on HBO, when they were showing on HBO. Me and my brother We were very curious about this movie, and I loved it. The reveal, I will never forget the moment the twist was revealed. Was just something to behold. Orphan is a hidden gem of film that I encourage you to watch for the very first time. Really do. I want more attention for this movie. I heard it's going to make a sequel. I'm not too sure about that, but I'm always open for something new to the table. But we'll see about that. But Orphan, great flick. A great slasher movie. Number 5. This is another film that I recently saw for the very first time this past summer, and I loved it. I really did. It's all about the characters, and the characters. The film I'm talking about is Night of the Living Dead, directed by George A. Romero. The ending blew me away, and everything about this movie is set in one setting in the house, surrounded by zombies. Knows God what they're trying to do, how to survive. This is a film about survival and trying to work together as a team. And I love the fact this film deals with the protagonist, a African American actor as a main lead. That's something fresh, unique, and different, and bold and risky. And I love that. He's a great character that trying to survive, try to help other people, but they don't want to die. This is a great film, a great black and white film. The opening of the film is a hook that immediately grabs your attention to watch this movie in entirety. And the ending, what can I say? Shocking, yet understandable. What a great ending to a film. That Night of the Living Dead, a masterpiece, a well-deserving film that belonged to the Criterion Collection. I can understand why. What a great film. That's my number 5, Night of the Living Dead. Number 4, In Space, No One Can Hear You. Alien, directed by Ridley Scott. What can I say that hasn't already been said? A classic. A film takes place in one setting as well, trying to survive. Nowhere to go, but you have an alien being inside of the ship, attacking you. That's some creepy stuff that I don't want to be on. A situation that terrifies me. I remember watching this movie as a kid as well on television for the very first time, seeing this creature, a xenomorph, come to life. Literally terrified me. A creative, unique, different kind of alien that we never seen before had become famous and iconic throughout the whole years. And yet we got an amazing sequel to Aliens, but Aliens is an action film. Alien is a horror film. There's a difference. Alien is all about survival, trying to get away from this creature from attacking you. So many great moments, so many great iconic scenes. The chest bursting scene is iconic for a reason and executed really, really well. The practical effects, the set designs, the acting, the direction, the music, everything is executed really well. Yeah, for the time that this movie was about to come and they were showing to test audience, the test audiences were truly terrified about this movie. And honestly, I'm glad this movie exists to give something different to the sci-fi genre. Alien is among one of my favorite sci-fi films and one of my favorite horror films as well. This is the film that need to be watched in the dark, alone. That's number 4, Alien. Number 3, The Exorcist. I saw this movie for the very first time as well a couple months ago. I loved it. The character, the music, the payoff, the ending, everything about this movie is amazing, wonderful. Even though I'm come from a religion background from my family, I just love this movie. Yes, my dad hates this movie. I can understand why, but for me, I was hooked. I was glued to the screen from beginning to end, and just the ending just leaves me cold and shaken. This is a film truly just wonderful. The execution, the practical effects, the direction, the music, the characters, everything about this movie is a masterpiece, in my opinion. I love this movie. Yes, Nathan did not like this movie. I get it, but I loved it. That is my number 3, The Exorcist. Number 2, I had a fun memory of this one. I'm gonna tell you a story about this. So I was home alone with a friend. Well, not a friend, it was my nanny, basically, and I love her to death. I miss her. I was basically home alone. My brothers and my mom and my cousin went to trick-or-treating. I told my mom I do not want to go trick-or-treating because I hate trick-or-treating, as you guys know. I was flipping through the channels. I was watching Disney Channel, chilling. I was watching Drake and Josh on Nick, chilling on the bed, just enjoying myself a Friday night. And I flipped to AMC. A little film called Child's Play came along. A film about a child toy come to life, possessed by a serial killer. This film terrified me as a kid. This is the film that made me stop buying toys from the future on. I sold all my toys. I remember by the end of the movie, it was my mistake to turn off the lights. And then after the movie was finished, I was looking at the closet to my left. No, to my right, sorry. And I see Buzz Lightyear upside down looking at me, very creepy. I quickly ran to the closet and tried to close the door as possible. Then I hear a footsteps and downstairs, and I grabbed my old lightsaber to prepare it. And it was my mom all along. So, and I hugged her. And ever since, this film stuck in my mind. And I love this movie. And I own a Blu-ray because that's how much I love this movie. This movie had a creepy image of a doll come to life. Especially the ending, if you know what I'm talking about, when Chucky was all burnt. Creepy. I love Child's Play. It's one of my most rewatchable films in every year. I rewatch our films every year in October because it's a must. That's my number 2, Child's Play. Lastly but not least, my number 1, directed by John Carpenter. A film set place in one location, in a very atmospheric location, stuck in the Arctic, surrounded by snow, the cold, called The Thing. Yeah, this movie. Loved it. It's all about the characters, the setups, the execution, the one location, the characters, trying to trust. This is all about trusting each other, or do not trust one another. This is a film, whether like it, one of you is that thing, disguised as that thing. I remember watching this movie for the very first time on Netflix, long ago. It was my mistake watching this movie in the dark. My grandmother was sleeping, my dad was sleeping, I was awake. It was around 2 a.m. in the morning. Saw this movie. The practical effects. Gross. Freaked me out. It did. Kurt Russell is a badass in this movie. He's great. And the direction, the music by Ennio Morricone, rest in peace, is one of the best. This film is my favorite sci-fi film of all time, and yet my favorite horror film of all time. Just the ending it left you ambiguous, questioning. Did they survive? Did they? Or did they not? I don't want to say anything more of this movie because I want you guys to experience it for the very first time. And just, this is something you gotta watch in the dark as well. This is something left me cold and alone. The thing is, still remains one of my number one favorite horror film of all time. That's my number one. Well, there you have it. This is my top 10 favorite horror films. I hope you guys have a great happy Halloween. I hope you watch a ton of scary movies, all things spooky. Stay safe, have a great day, or have a good night. One thing before I go, to make sure to check under your bed, because you never know, there'll be monsters under your bed. Have a great day. See ya.